Off with a quick point. And unfortunately, they're not really wearing numbers, so we won't be able to tell quite who all the players are. But Revolver with a quick point to make it 1-0. Revolver in black here in power pool play with Bologna in white. Bologna now on offense on the right side of your pitch. That's the south side. We are here in Rimini, home of Paganello, and also home of one of the best teams that's playing on another field right now called Costa Rica. That's the local team. Bologna, only about 80 kilometers northwest and the regional hub in this province of Emilia-Romagna. A bladey flick pull and a good stop with the Bologna player. I will have roster shortly. Davide Mori moving in the middle now. He's striking deep. It's going. And Davide, number 12, with the disc. It's crowded in the end zone. Oh, and a pretty pass. Very sneaky throw in the end zone. Revolver, the top seed at this tournament. You will see that they are wearing special jerseys with ERIC on their back. ERIC, that's early recognition is critical. It's a organization that is helping recognize and support that cancer, essentially, that if you recognize cancer early, it is important as part of the, I guess, the cure process, or essentially the process to help work through and get rid of cancer. I didn't put it quite eloquently. We will have Jim, who is one of the founders of ERIC, joining us shortly. Swung to the middle. Another strike. Bo Kittredge going long. You can see Bo is wearing a onesie. Bo Kittredge with the point for Revolver. 2-1 Revolver. Bo is widely considered to be one of the best ultimate players in the world. Multi-time world champion, as well as USA Ultimate champion. He's both a magician and an illustrator and author of children's novels or books. I guess novels is a bit much. Revolver is primarily out of San Francisco region, the Bay Area, whereas Bologna is from Bologna. Weather here has actually been quite good. Yesterday was quite windy but sunny. Many players got sunburns. Today we expected rain. It didn't come, and it's been a fantastic day. Light winds, generally speaking. A big bladey backhand pull. And that slips by Davide. Swung, it's deep in the end zone. And a little bit poachy, but Revolver is playing man. A good adjustment to recover. And bomb goes deep with Davide. Probably going to be getting it. And a big cheer from the crowd as Mori makes it 2-2. And right now they're trading points. Can I switch off? It's okay, no pop. No, it's okay. And I'm back. Apologies for that hiatus. I was attempting to figure out some names on the field. I will have a little bit of information for you for each of the players. Many of the Bologna players are from the under 23 team that played in Toronto, and will likely also for Italy, and will likely also play for Italia in London this year. And there's a pick call, and a disc stays. And a lefty backhand to make it 3-2, and that was probably one of Revolver's most difficult points in their first turn that they've thrown. Revolver bringing a large roster to this tournament, almost 20 players. And fully intending to win as well. Big lady backhand pull. The wind is much different here on the central pitch compared to the other fields. All the other fields are 90 degrees or perpendicular to this field. Davide directing, but a pick call. They're saying the disc comes back, or they're having a discussion, but What's interesting is that Bologna has practiced with Revolver, at least on grass, a few days ago. Davide, sticking back, asked for a dump that goes quite far back. He's in the middle of the pitch. Blade throw to nobody, and that's an error. And they'll have to play defense. Revolver now with the disc, and Cusb La Fotta playing some hard D. Straight up force from Bologna. And just too far. Out of reach, overthrown. Looks like it's going to be Lorenzo Gorini. Actually, no. Someone else is wearing that number. And Huck goes up, Bo's under it, and a very tight defense. Pops it high. A little bit too much float. Back to Bo. A little bit of a messy end zone. Upline with a bid. But Revolver break, making it 4-2. It's for the first break in the game. So if this is the first time that you're watching Ultimate, I'll try to explain some of the rules and terminology for you. Each point starts with a pull, and that is when one team throws the disc to the other team. So currently you can't see Bologna, but they are standing on their own end zone line. Evan Boucher with the disc from Revolver is going to throw the disc and try to get it as far down the field as possible. And then Revolver in black will run down and play defense. Davide Mori swings it wide. Looks like it's going to go up line, and he maintains possession. Evan Boucher is looking to poach in the middle of the field. Now he's marking. It's a hard mark, and a mark is a defensive person, and that just goes to the ground. A little bit too low. And a hand block, but a foul called. So the foul call is that he still had it in his hand and that there was contact. They're just calming down a little bit. In Ultimate, there are no referees, official referees that are paid, that are not playing the game. Every player on the field is essentially a referee if they have perspective. If there's a disagreement about a call, the disc goes back. Evan with an undercut. Davide had a bid. He sends it deep. And Revolver break again. 5-2 now the score. Because of Rimini's close relationship with Bologna, there are some players that have moved or play on the Bologna team that originally are from here, but that's true for most major cities. Evan, who you saw throw the last point, is from Louisville, Kentucky. Remember playing a few years back when he was still playing on a Louisville team. And he's incredibly fast. He's moved since then to the Bay Area. And now, of course, plays with Revolver. And has also become both a USA Ultimate Champion and a World Champion in the Open Division. On Grass Ultimate. Many Grass Ultimate players play beach. Very few. Davide sends a big floater out, and this one's going to have a battle underneath it. Oh, and pull down. Lots of poaches in the middle field. Back to Davide. And a nice loche. And Bologna score to make it 3-5. Revolver in a strong position for the game presently. This is ahead of the start of their season in the United States. Bologna as well have not quite started their European season. And both of these teams are Grass Ultimate teams. In fact, Costa Rica Grandes and all the Costa Rica teams, including Cota Fever and all the juniors, typically are grass teams, but they do play beach quite a bit. And who wouldn't on the Italian Riviera? Big pole lands inbounds. Evan Boucher collects or receives it, looking for the huck under. Not available. Davide Mori is on Bo, and there's a lot of contact. Bo wondering why he's not getting the easy dishes, but continuing to cut. Layout grab, bit wide. Comes under. Bit high. Davide being very physical with Bo. Getting a little bit of space. Bo used to contact. And Davide just backs off, gives him the space now. They're out of energy. Evan gets in the middle. Big layout. Dishes it right back. Bo coming up line. And Davide just out of energy. And Revolver makes it 6-3. Bo definitely winning the fight there between the two of them. And probably the most physical ultimate that we've seen in quite some time. Davide, the captain of Bologna, known for being quite strong-willed. These two teams playing in power pool play. And power pool play means that they both finished quite well yesterday. Typically top 3 in their pool of 5 in the Open Division. And have now moved into the power pools where if they finish well, they will then move on to the top 8 and enter playoffs tomorrow. They still have one power pool game left tomorrow. Disc lands inbound, but rolls out the back. It'll come to the front of the end zone where it rolled out. If it had landed out of bounds, it would have brought in either at the brick or at the sideline closest to where it had gone out of bounds. You can make the decision in Bula and Paganello play. zone from Revolver. And Revolver forcing Bologna to the line. And wanting to put it deep, but there is very good deep coverage as well and fast coverage. The way to beat a zone typically is to go over the top, but the wind can carry. Mistake there by Revolver. Space in the middle, and that's another drop. And Revolver going to move it very quickly, just with some pop passes. A few layouts, very physical from Bologna. And that's not the way to play. If you want to see an example of bad ultimate, that was it right there. And the Revolver has played through all of this. In fact, they've played through a lot of this in the U.S. And they're completely unfazed. 7-3 now, Revolver lead. And Bologna, a little bit deflated as this game very quickly has gotten away from them. But never say never. Here at Paganello, the big comebacks are constantly possible, and we see them every year. So I apologize for a lack of rosters today. I will work on it over the weekend to get better rosters. Might not be able to commentate tomorrow if there's rain. Hope there's no rain. Monday should be okay, and I'll try to get rosters from all the teams ahead of time and commentate then. Poll coming from Revolver. And while that's happening, I may have neglected to mention that who I am. I'm Tushar Singh. I've been playing Paganello here in the Open Division for quite a few years. Probably not as long as some of the players that are on the pitch. Just a big push where a Revolver player was just planted and not moving. And Bologna is not going to win this battle. It's sand, and they're not moving quite fast enough to cause any damage. Good movement. Need in cuts, not getting any at this point. Davide coming to rescue it. Now he's going to look for a deep, but that was a great break backhand. Oh, and just an over-the-top tap, and cheers from the crowd on excellent defense on what would have been a wide-open point for Bologna. Play is back in. Calls for no huck from the sideline. And deep shot goes up. Revolver player recognizes it a little bit late. Oh, and a high release flick. And Revolver now just putting on a show. 8-3. There is a little bit of a mismatch here in terms of numbers of players. Bologna has significantly fewer players. They've been running hard all weekend. They've had hard games. Normally they have a larger squad, but they are definitely a strong team. I don't want this score here to give an indication that they're not. They are one of the strongest, if not the strongest team in Italy. It's usually traded back and forth between Rimini and Bologna. So either Costa Rica or Cusb Bologna. Revolver, one of the strongest teams in the United States as well. Last year at the USA Championships, they were beaten by, I believe, GOAT in the quarterfinals, which was a bit of an upset. But they had won Worlds earlier, so a little bit of a balance. Coming out of the timeout. Revolver to pull. There are no halves in normal games. This disc, Davide tracks it, lets it fall out of bounds, and we are going to see a break. It's coming up, I believe, 10 steps. And Davide looking deep, takes the easy under. Bologna was set up in a horizontal stack. Dumped back to Davide. Swung wide. Oh, and a great backhand break. Back to the middle. Floats deep. And a pick call will bring the disc back. In WFDF, Bula, and Paganello rules, pick results in the play returning. In North American play, in fact, USA and Canadian play, ultimate play, that would have been a turnover. Bula rules are much kinder in this instance to the offense. And pop goes up. Oh, and it looked like it was going to be grabbed, and he was even going to toe in to keep himself inbounds. Dump back to the middle to Evan. Sends a huck deep. It's a little bit bladey. And there's a looked like an injury, but not. And Davide throws it away. We've all had those kind of throws. A little bit of heckling from the crowd.
5 minutes left.
This Revolver leads 8-3. It looked like he just hung on to it a little bit long. And Bologna on the field exhausted. They only have 11 players. Normally they have a much larger roster, but only 11 at this tournament. And immediately a turn, but there is a foul call on it as well. If you overheard the music, there are 5 minutes left in official play game time before stoppage. And Evan just blazing along on the sand. and we're going to see if he can chase it down. Lots of defense, and he grabs it. And a big cheer from the crowd after pressure from 2 Bologna players. And that's 9-3 Revolver leads. And now they look like they're going to be cruising to another power pool victory. And that's a lesson for all ultimate players. Both offense and defense should never give up. And the defense didn't give up in this instance. It's just the positioning of the offense and the hand going up and grabbing was just a little bit better. Revolver has run 3 clinics this week. On Tuesday in Bologna, on Wednesday in Rimini, and on Thursday once again in Rimini, but on the beach. And this is something that some North American teams do. There was the Sockeye clinics last year, and Revolver doing it this year. Davide going deep, and looking for a deep shot with Bo blocking him there, and Bo is going to take it and making sure that he avoids any contact afterwards. This is a matchup that has been very physical. Let's see how it continues. Bo wanting to put it deep, swings it wide. Bo continuing to go. And Bologna switching. And call from the sideline of we need to get something from going downfield. which means Bologna is taking deeps, taking away the deeps. Bo's going deep and just chases that down, accelerates, and then maintains the velocity. (10-3). Revolver leads. So a little bit more about myself. I play Ultimate primarily in Canada and the United States, but I spend quite a bit of time each year trying to play international tournaments. And my first Paganello, I believe, was here in 2008. I became good friends with the Kota guys. I know a few of the Bologna guys. Fortunately, my eyesight isn't good enough to tell me who they are on the field other than Davide. But if you haven't played Ultimate, it's a great community. His Revolver keeps this pole inbounds. Davide on the field again. He's going to get it in the middle. Another swing wide. Might be trapped a little bit on the line, but no. They get out of it well. Looking to huck deep, but good deep coverage. And one of the newer and younger players from Bologna. Downfield, deep coverage. Is preventing the huck. Deep dump. And Bologna back to where they started the point. But and getting good position now in the middle of the field. And goes deep and gets thrown out of bounds. The wind is interesting on this pitch. And as you can see, it results immediately in another turnover. The portion of the field in the stands has very little wind as long as it's below the stands. And with the wind going from the back of the camera to the sea, as soon as it gets to an end zone, it starts to push it. Blade goes up while it stays inbound. Davide takes responsibility for that one. He just doesn't have the chemistry with some of the newer players that he typically has. And it's a work in process, but this team will be strong. Revolver brings it up again. Looking deep, goes deep. This one is floating. It's going to float a little bit more. Does he get it? No, just goes out the back of the end zone. Cheers from the crowd. And the longest point of the game continues. 10-3. Revolver leads. Davide picking up the disc. No IO calls. They want to keep they have a pretty flat mark as well. Oh, break. Not necessarily meant for that receiver, but he picks it up. One of the better handlers on the team. And good pressure once again. Goes deep. It's floating, but not quite enough. Revolver moving it quickly now. Lots of undercuts available. Just walking, recovering their energy. And while there is a deep strike, nothing coming. Hammer goes up. Oh, and just fingertips on the rim. But the hammer is appreciated. And this point continues. All smiles on the sideline from Revolver. They're just having a little bit of fun now. With the time now over, this game, I believe, should go either to 12 if Bologna scores. And this one's a good put. And a fantastic track and catch. Makes it 10-4. Game will finish at 12. 12. Revolver now going on offense for the first time in quite some time. And some players that we haven't seen in quite some time coming on the field, including Jim and Bo. Well, Bo had been on recently, but Jim has not taken the field until recently. Woody warming up on the sideline, on the far side. Woody is a player that has played for quite some time, including with the team called Natsuo, which is Houston backwards, but and they've won Paganello several times. Pole goes out the back to the beer garden, and it will be brought to the middle. Jim is in the dump handler position. Bo in the middle of the field. They're going running an ISO with him. And then the stack breaks free. And a cheer from the Pirates as well, as Revolver makes it 11-4. And now they're on game point. Temperature around 12 Celsius right now. With the wind, feels like 10. I believe the next game coming up is a women's game. And a big bloody pole, looks like it's going out of bounds, and it does land OB. OB short for being short form for out of bounds. And a fast defensive line now on the field. Davide for Bologna makes a deep cut. Nothing happening. Very deep coverage, but he's wide open again. Break. Flat mark. Another flat mark. Davide coming back into a handler position. And that's great chemistry. And an inverted dump pass. Comes right back to the middle. Good movement. And now to Davide. He sends up Blady. Shot over the top. And it's a good score, 11-5. And that's what he was looking. And that's one of the players that has played on Bologna for quite some time. And that was the chemistry that gives confidence behind that throw. Revolver on offense. The player we haven't seen in quite some time taking the field, Woody, warmed up now. 45 minutes into the game. Starting to get a little bit of chilly now. I will only be commentating on this game presently. Had 3 games very quickly today. Pole stays inbounds. Collected. Move to Woody. Looking for a deep shot. Not there. It's going to be swung. Now Evan has it. Moves in the middle. Looking for a deep strike. There's a wraparound mark, but it's a big mark. And I believe there was a call for disc space, but the count didn't drop. Oh, it was a fast count. Evan going deep. And Davide on Woody. And great defense so far by Bologna. And Woody sends it over the top. And probably the first breakthrough for this point. Oh, and thrown away. Just looking to thread the needle. And a tough break there for Revolver. Now having to play defense after a long point. Davide with this, sends it deep, wide open, and 11-6. Revolver may choose to put a slightly stronger line on now. But that disc coming out of Woody's blind spot, and didn't seem to be much help from the sideline. So very difficult for him to make up ground, not knowing which direction he should try and move to. Well put by Davide as well, recognizing the space. And well tracked to the middle of the end zone. As I mentioned earlier, the wind in the end zones picks up, so it is trickier to track the disc there. So in all honesty, it is much more difficult to finish and position yourself correctly for the end zone, in the arena especially. Bo, looking deep, sends it. It's a bit bladey, but caught well. Alex dishes it wide, and a lefty backhand, and Revolver finishes the game 12-6. Well fought by Bologna. Well fought by Revolver. Davide and Bo hug it out afterwards. Good game overall. We hope you join us for this live stream continually. If you have suggestions for improvement or complaints, you can send them to me, or you can send them to the Paganello, and I'll try to address them. If you send them to me, you can tweet me at IamUltimate, and I'll do my best to try and improve the commentary and the quality. The quality today might not have been so great. I'll admit to it. It's been a tough day of Ultimate. But Monday I'll be on point. Anyways, thank you for joining, and I hope you continue watching the next game. Thank you.